Dandava Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 3, the Status Quo, Chapter 20, Text 18. Sasarja Chaya Yavidyam Pancha Parvanam Agrata Tamishram Anda Tamishram Tamo Moho Mahatama. First of all, Brahma created from his shadow the coverings of ignorance of the conditioned souls. They are 5 in number and are called Tamishra, Anta Tamishra, Tamas, Moha, and Moha Moha. Oh, and Maha Moha. Purport. The conditioned souls or living entities who come to the material world to enjoy sense gratification are covered in the beginning by 5 different conditions. The first condition is a covering of tamishra, or anger. Constitutionally, each and every living entity has minute independence. It is misuse of that minute independence for the conditioned soul to think that he can also enjoy like the Supreme Lord, or to think, why shall I not be a free enjoyer like the Supreme Lord? This forgetfulness of his constitutional position is due to anger or envy. The living entity, being eternally a part and parcel servitor of the Supreme Lord, can never, by constitution, be an equal enjoyer with the Lord. When he forgets this, however, and tries to be one with him, his condition is called tamishra. Even in the field of spiritual realization, this tamishra mentality of the living entity is hard to overcome. In trying to get out of the entanglement of material life, there are many who want to be one with the Supreme. Even in their transcendental activities, this lower grade mentality of tamishra continues. Anta tamishra involves considering death to be the ultimate end. The atheists generally think that the body is the self, and everything is therefore ended with the end of the body. Thus, they want to be enjoying material life as far as possible during the existence of the body. Their theory is, as long as you live, you should live prosperously. Never mind whether you commit all kinds of so-called sins. You must eat sumptuously, beg, borrow, and steal, and if you think that by stealing and borrowing you are being entangled in sinful activities for which you will have to pay, then just forget that misconception, because after death everything is finished. No one is responsible for anything he does during his life. This atheistic conception of life is killing human civilization, for it is without knowledge of the contamination, for it is without knowledge of the continuation of eternal life. This andha tamishra, ignorance, is due to tamas. The condition of not knowing anything about the spirit soul is called tamas. This material world is also generally called tamas because 99% of its living entities are ignorant of their identity as soul. Almost everyone is thinking that he is this body. He has no information of the spirit soul. Guided by this misconception, one always thinks, this is my body and anything in relationship with this body is mine. For such misguided living entities, sex life is the background of material existence. Actually, the conditioned souls and ignorance in this material world are simply guided by sex life. And as soon as they get the opportunity for sex life, they become attached to so-called home, motherland, children, wealth, and opulence. As these attachments increase, moha, or the illusion of the bodily conception of life, also increases. Thus, the idea that I am this body and everything belonging to this body is mine also increases. And as the whole world is put into moha, sectarian societies, families, and nationalities are created. and they fight with one another. Maha Moha means to be mad after material enjoyment. Especially in this age of Kali, everyone is overwhelmed by the madness to accumulate paraphernalia for material enjoyment. These definitions are very nicely given in the Vishnu Purana, wherein it is stated, Tamo viveka mohasyad antakarana vibhrama mahamohastu vigyeyo gramyaboga sukhaishana maranam hyanda tamishram krodha uchate avidya pancha parvaisa adhurbhuta mahatmana. Text 19. Ishara jatmana kayam nabhinadham stamomayam jaghur yaksha rakshamamsi ratrim shutrit samudbhavam. Out of disgust, Brahma threw off the body of ignorance, and taking this opportunity, yakshas and rakshas sprang for possession of the body, which continued to exist in the form of night. Night is the source of hunger and thirst. Text 20. Shrutridhyam upashriste tam jagdhum abhidudruva marakshatainam jakshadvam ityuchukrut tridardita. Overpowered by hunger and thirst, they ran to devour Brahma from all sides and cried, "Spare him not, eat him up." Purport. The representatives of the yakshas and rakshasas still exist in some countries of the world. It is understood that such uncivilized men take pleasure in killing their own grandfathers and holding a love feast by roasting the bodies. Text 21. Devastan aha samvigno mamam jakshata rakshata aho me yaksha rakshamsi prajayuyam babhuvita. Brahma, the head of all the demigods, full of anxiety, asked them, "Do not eat me, but protect me. You are born from me and have become my sons. Therefore you are yakshas and rakshasas." Purport. The demons who were born from the body of Brahma were called yakshas and rakshasas because some of them cried that Brahma should be eaten, and the others cried that he should not be protected. The ones who said that he should be eaten were called the yakshas, and the ones who said that he should not be protected became the rakshasas, man-eaters. The two yakshas and rakshasas are the original creation by Brahma and are represented even until today in the uncivilized men who are scattered all over the universe. They are born of the mode of ignorance, and therefore, because of their behavior, they are called rakshasas or man-eaters. 22. Divhata prabhayaya divyan pramukato shujat Deyaharshur devayanto vishwishtam tam prabhamaha. He then created the chief demigods who were shining with the glory of goodness. He dropped before them the effulgent form of daytime, and the demigods sportingly took possession of it. Purport. Demons were born from the creation of night, and the demigods were born from the creation of day. In other words, demons like the yakshas and rakshasas are born of the quality of ignorance, and demigods are born of the quality of goodness. 23. Devho devan jagannanta sujati satilolupan taenam lolupataya Maitreya bipedire. Lord Brahma then gave birth to the demons from his buttocks, and they were very fond of sex. Because they were too lustful, they approached him for copulation. Purport. Sex life is the background of material existence. Here also it is repeated that demons are very fond of sex life. The more one is free from the desire for sex, the more he is promoted to the level of the demigods. The more one is inclined to enjoy sex, the more he is degraded to the level of demoniac life. 24. Tato hasansa bhagavan asurar nirapatrapai anviyamanas tarasa rudhobita parapatat. The worshipful Brahma first laughed at their stupidity, but finding the shameless asuras close upon him, he grew indignant and ran in great haste out of fear. Purport. Sexually inclined demons have no respect even for their father, and the best policy for a saintly father like Brahma is to leave such demoniac sons. 25. Sa upavraja varadam prapanarti haram harim anugrahaya bhaktanam anurupatma darshanam. He approached the personality of Godhead who bestows all boons and who dispels the agony of his devotees and of those who take shelter of his lotus feet. He manifests his innumerable transcendental forms for the satisfaction of his devotees. Purport. Here are the words Bhaktanam Anurupatma Darshanam mean that the personality of Godhead manifests his multi-forms according to the desires of the devotees. For example, Hanumanji or Bhadranathji wanted to see the form of the Lord as the personality of Godhead Ramachandra, whereas other Vaishnavas want to see him in the form of Radha Krishna, and still other devotees want to see the form in the Lord of Lakshmi Narayan. The Mayavad philosophers think that although all these forms are assumed by the Lord just as the devotees desire to see him, actually he is impersonal. From Brahma Samhita, however, we can understand that this is not so, for the Lord has multi-forms. It is said in Brahma Samhita, Advaitam Achyutam. The Lord does not appear before the devotee because of the devotee's imagination. Brahma Samhita further explains that the Lord has innumerable forms. Brahmadi Murtishu Kalani Amena Tishtam. He exists in millions and millions of forms. There are 8,400,000 species of living entities, but the incarnations of the Supreme Lord are innumerable. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that as the waves in the sea cannot be counted, but appear and disappear continually, the incarnations and forms of the Lord are innumerable. A devotee is attached to a particular form, and it is that form which he worships. We have just described the first appearance of the boar within this universe. There are innumerable universes, and somewhere or other the boar form is now existing. All the forms of the Lord are eternal. It is the devotee's inclination to worship a particular form, and he engages in devotional service to that form. In a verse in Ramayana, Hanuman, the great devotee of Rama, said, I know that there is no difference between the Sitaram and the Lakshmi Narayan forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but nevertheless, the form of Rama and Sita has absorbed my affection and love. Therefore, I want to see the Lord in the forms of Rama and Sita. Similarly, the Gaudiya Vaishnava loves the forms of Radha and Krishna and Rukmini at Dwaraka. The words Bhaktanam Anurupatma Darshanam mean that the Lord is always pleased to favor the devotee in the particular form in which the devotee wants to worship and render service unto him. In this verse, it is stated that Brahma approached Hare, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This form of the Lord is Chirodakshai Vishnu. Whenever there is some trouble and Brahma has to approach the Lord, he can approach Kshirodakshai Vishnu. And it is the grace of the Lord that whenever Brahma approaches about disturbances in the universe, the Lord gives him relief in so many ways. Text 26. Ahimam paramatmam ste prishane nasrajam praja ta'ima yabitum papa upakramanti mam prabhu. The Lord Brahma, approaching the Lord, addressed him thus: My Lord, please protect me from these sinful demons who were created by me under your order. They are infuriated by an appetite for sex and have come to attack me. Purport. It appears here that the homosexual appetite of males for each other is created in this episode of the creation of the demons by Brahma. In other words, the homosexual appetite of a man for another man is demoniac and is not for any sane male in the ordinary course of life. Text 27. From eka kila lokanam klishtanam klesha nashana Vam eka klesha dastesham anasanha padam tava. My Lord, you are the only one capable of ending the affliction of the distressed and inflicting agony on those who never resort to your feet. Purport. The words klesha dastesham anashana padam tava indicate that the Lord has two concerns. The first is to give protection to persons who take shelter of his lotus feet. And the second is to give trouble to those who are always demoniac and who are inimical toward the Lord. Maya's function is to give afflictions to the non-devotees. Here, Brahma said, You are the protector of the surrendered souls, therefore I surrender unto your lotus feet. Please give me protection from these demons. Text 28. Stovadharyasya karpanyam vivektadhyatma darshana vimunchatma tanunguram ityukto vimumochaha. The Lord, who can distinctly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, Cast off this impure body of yours. Thus commanded by the Lord, Brahma cast off his body. Purport. The Lord is described here by the word Vivektadhyatma Darshana. If anyone can completely perceive another's distress without doubt, it is the Lord himself. If someone is in distress and wants to get relief from his friend, sometimes it so happens that this friend does not appreciate the volume of distress he is suffering. But for the Supreme Lord, it is not difficult. The Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, is sitting within the heart of every living entity, and he directly perceives the exact causes of distress. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Sarvasya chaham pradeshani vishta. I'm sitting in everyone's heart, and because of me, one's remembrance and forgetfulness occur. Thus, whenever one fully surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, one finds that he is sitting within one's heart. He can give us direction how to get out of dangers or how to approach him in devotional service. The Lord, however, asked Brahma to give up his present body because it had created the demoniac principle. According to Sridhar Swami, Brahma's constant dropping of his body does not refer to his actually giving up his body. Rather, he suggests that Brahma gave up a particular mentality. Mind is the subtle body of the living entity. We may sometimes be absorbed in some thought which is sinful, but if we give up the sinful thought, it may be said that we give up the body. Brahma's mind was not in correct order when he created the demons. It must have been full of passion because the entire creation was passionate. Therefore, such passionate sons were born. It follows that any father and mother should also be careful while begetting children. The mental condition of a child depends on the mental status of his parents at the time he is conceived. According to the Vedic system, therefore, the Garbhadhana Samskar, or the ceremony for giving birth to a child, is observed. Before begetting a child, one has to sanctify his perplexed mind. When the parents engage their minds in the lotus feet of the Lord, and in such a state the child is born, naturally good devotee children come. When the society is full of such good population, there is no trouble from demoniac mentalities. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 29 on Friday. Are there any comments or questions from the devotees? Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Guru Dev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai.
Jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees. Sama Bhakti Veda Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Nishangapali Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Dhruv Ki Jai. Ganga Mai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Giri Govardhan, Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai. Sham Kund Radhikund Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagi Ki Jai. Scientific Sankirtan Yagi Ki Jai. Princeton Bhakti Vedanta Institute Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Nita Gaura Premanandi. Hari 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 Bol. Jai Shrimati Uma Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Jai Bhakti Ras Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
श्रीपाद कृष्ण केशव प्रभु जी की जय।
Jai Gurudev.
दंडवत प्रणाम।
Dhanyavad Stiri. Hari Bol.